This is Michael Butler, one of the TAKEOVER 2020 artists. So Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, good afternoon, Amy. As you see, I wore my post-St. Patrick's Day green.
Very nice,
Today's
very nice.
March 18th, but it sort of typifies the fact that I love color in all of my works. I'm inspired by the early works of Romeo Bearden, Henri Rousseau, Aaron Douglas, and Jacob Lawrence, especially with some of the highlights and lighting that you'll see coming through some of those works of theirs. And I define my work as narrative folk art, and the themes tend to be imagined realities. Now, those realities are often based upon either dreams, mythology, such as this one over here, which is Dance of the Furies, the three Furies who would take people to hell or wherever if they had lied, stolen, cheated, killed, or something of that nature. And again, it comes from Greek mythology. Now, some of the other themes that run through my works are religious iconography, history, documentation, especially, with history when you're thinking, you very often do not have an exact portrayal of what happened. You may hear a story, you may imagine how it went, how it took place, but I like to try and put that on my canvases as well. So over here we have what I call Wegwaganok, which is...
Say that again?
Wegwaganok,
Wegwaganok.
which was the native name for Sag Harbor Village before the Europeans settled there, which meant land at the foot of the hill. Now, as we know, a lot of the indigenous people here were involved in the whaling industry, well, not an industry, because it wasn't really commercialized until European settlers arrived, but they had their own method of going whaling and dug out canoes and what we would think of as a low-skilled technology, but it was sufficient for their needs. My other mythological painting is here, which is called Calming an Angry Sea, which comes from the sailor's myth that a woman's bare breasts would calm an angry sea, obviously. So I also like to... Yes.
Okay.
So it makes sense, I guess, to some people. You have to be an old salty sailor or something of that nature to, I guess, adhere to.
How has that not sold?
Yes, I know. People comment on it, they talk about it all the time, but I don't know. You have to tell me.
That's my moment to remind people that these works are all for sale.
Right.
Email us at info@southamptoncenter.org for more info.
Now this one, again, comes from pure imagination. A lot of people see the Greece or the Azores or somewhere in that, but it's a composite, I call it civilization, which sort of shows the growth of a civilization from a very low-skilled indigenous culture up through these dwellings here to a higher, more highly evolved, if you think of it in that sense, culture with the spiritual center over here. But it's a theme that runs through a lot of my works. These very detailed paintings. I use the finest brushes I can obtain.
I was going to ask, how do you paint on such a small scale and such great detail?
And I admit to using a magnifying glass.
Yes.
As you've seen me utilize. And of course, larger brushes for the larger flat areas. But I just love getting in there, noodling away, doing a lot of details, which is something that people see in my works. Often people say, oh, they have such a dreamlike quality. I'd like to live in your head or something of that nature. So again, those are my imagined realities. This one here, baleen in blue. Actually, this whale would normally be a grayish brown, but I painted it in blue. And the background is somewhat typical of what you would see in Minoan or Cretan frescoes. So I find those, that time period very, very inspiring as well. And I just want to show you what I had been working on most recently here at the Art Center.
Great.
This is the first one I worked on. It's not quite complete, and I don't have the name for it yet either, but it's a gentleman who was going crabbing. And what I'm thinking of doing with it, I had researched all the enemies of blue crabs. So there might be loggerhead turtles, raccoons, egrets, and herons. So I'm thinking of putting and eels. So I'm thinking of putting some of that in the background here. This is the next one, which I've completed.
Yes.
Yes, it's another one of my mini landscapes called Upon the Heights. And again, you can see I just love to get in there.
Very tiny.
Yes, detail away with my little imaginary dwellings. But again, they're composites of different geographical styles, regional styles, cultures. And I'm currently working on this one.
Beautiful. I love this.
Called And Suddenly the Clouds Parted. This is, again, a recurring theme of mine. I love doing seascapes. I love working in the little details, and storms at sea, clouds are some of my imaginary realities. And then these little ones here, people are always telling me that I do paint on a small scale. So I've really taken this to somewhat of an extreme. And
This has become a thing with the takeover artists and painting miniatures for what Melinda Hackett says, the 99%.
yes, exactly. And you have space for these,
Yes.
which is amazing.
So cute. They're tiny.
So that's pretty much my work in a nutshell. As you can see, my row of paints here, they're all based on color from different gradations.
Very organized.
Because, I like to do a lot of blending in my work. I started working in pastels, but I could not obtain the detail that I admire in my work. So I find the the acrylics, they dry very quickly, which I love, and I can do a lot of quick blending in there and do that type of thing. So
Very nice.
that's my work in a nutshell.
All right. Well, thank you, Michael.
You're
So
quite
this has been another interview with a TAKEOVER 2020 artist in resident artist, Michael Butler. Remember, his works are available for purchase. Email us at info@southamptoncenter.org if you're interested, and keep following our YouTube channel for more content. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.
Likewise. Love you all.
Bye. Bye.